Every time you look up at the stars, you are seeing the remains of the most tragic love stories, the most heroic sacrifices, and the most devastating betrayals in human mythology. Each zodiac constellation carries the memory of souls who suffered so intensely that the gods themselves placed their stories in the heavens so they would never be forgotten. What you are about to discover will change how you see your zodiac sign forever. Because behind every constellation is a tale of pain, courage, and transformation that explains why you carry the specific gifts and challenges written in your astrological DNA. Stay until the end because the story behind your sign might reveal why you face certain struggles and possess certain strengths that have shaped your entire life. These are not just ancient stories. They are the spiritual blueprints that influence your personality, your relationships, and your destiny even today. Let me take you on a journey through the tragic origins of each zodiac sign, starting with the most heartbreaking story of all. Aries carries the memory of a golden ram who died saving two innocent children from a murderous stepmother. Phrixus and Hel were about to be sacrificed by their jealous stepmother Ino, who had convinced their father that the gods demanded their deaths to end a terrible famine. As the children were led to the altar, their real mother Nephel sent a magical golden ram to rescue them. The ram carried them away through the sky, but during the flight, Hel lost her grip and fell to her death in the waters below. Phrixus survived and reached safety, but he was so grateful to the ram that he sacrificed it to Zeus and gave its golden fleece to the local king. Zeus, moved by the ram's heroic sacrifice, placed its image among the stars as the constellation Aries. This is why Aries people are natural protectors who will sacrifice themselves for others, why they have such courage in dangerous situations, and why they sometimes feel the weight of responsibility for other people's safety. The ram spirit lives in their willingness to charge into danger to save those who cannot save themselves. Taurus remembers the story of Europa, a beautiful princess who was kidnapped and betrayed by someone she trusted. Zeus, the king of the gods, became obsessed with Europa's beauty and transformed himself into a magnificent white bull to win her trust. Europa was enchanted by the gentle bull and climbed onto its back. But the moment she did, Zeus revealed his true nature and carried her across the sea to Crete, where he violated her trust completely. The constellation Taurus commemorates both the deception of Zeus and the innocence that was lost. This is why Taurus people have such difficulty trusting others completely, why they are so protective of their security and independence, and why they can become possessive when they feel their safety is threatened. They carry the cellular memory of beautiful innocence that was betrayed by someone who seemed safe and loving. Gemini holds the tragedy of Castor and Pollux, twin brothers who loved each other so much that one chose to share his immortality rather than live forever alone. Castor was mortal while Pollux was the son of Zeus and thus immortal. When Castor was killed in battle, Pollux was devastated and begged Zeus to let him share his immortality with his dead brother. Zeus agreed, and the twins now alternate between life and death, spending one day in heaven and one day in the underworld for all eternity. This eternal separation and reunion explains why Gemini people feel like they are living two different lives, why they struggle with consistency, and why they often feel like part of them is missing or searching for their other half. They carry the spiritual memory of a soul that was split and can never be completely whole in one reality. Cancer carries the story of a crab who died trying to help defeat a monster, but whose effort was so brave that it earned eternal recognition. During Hercules' battle with the Hydra, the goddess Hera sent a giant crab to attack Hercules from behind. The crab knew it could not defeat the great hero, but it attacked anyway to help the Hydra because Hera had promised to honor its courage. Hercules crushed the crab easily, but Hera was so moved by its willingness to fight against impossible odds that she placed it among the stars. This is why Cancer people will fight for their loved ones even when they know they might lose, why they are so protective of their families, and why they sometimes feel unappreciated for their sacrifices. They carry the spirit of a creature who chose love and loyalty over personal safety. Leo remembers the Nemean lion, a creature of such incredible strength and beauty that it took the greatest hero who ever lived to defeat it. And even then, Hercules was so impressed by its magnificence that he wore its skin as armor for the rest of his life. The lion was invincible. No weapon could pierce its golden hide, no trap could hold it, no warrior could defeat it until Hercules strangled it with his bare hands in a battle that lasted days. But even in death, the lion noble spirit was so powerful that it became Hercules' symbol of strength and courage. This is why Leo people have such natural confidence and leadership abilities, why they inspire others just by being themselves, and why they sometimes struggle with people who do not recognize their worth. They carry the soul memory of a creature that was born to be magnificent, and that demands respect through sheer presence rather than force. Virgo holds the memory of Astrea, the goddess of justice who loved humanity so much that she was the last divine being to leave Earth when humans became corrupt and violent. As the world descended into chaos and cruelty, all the gods abandoned Earth and returned to heaven, but Astrea refused to give up on humanity. She stayed as long as she could, trying to teach people about fairness, kindness, and justice. Only when the violence became unbearable did she finally ascend to heaven, where Zeus placed her among the stars so she could continue watching over humanity with hope for their eventual redemption. This is why Virgo people are so dedicated to helping others improve and grow, why they see potential in everyone even when others have given up, and why they sometimes feel frustrated by human imperfection. They carry the divine memory of a goddess who believed in humanity goodness even when humanity had forgotten it themselves. Libra carries the story of the scales of justice that belong to Astrea, but these scales have their own tragic tale. The scales could weigh not just actions, but souls themselves, revealing the true moral weight of every decision and every heart. When Astrea left Earth, she left behind her scales as a reminder that justice and balance were still possible, but humans proved unable to use them wisely. The scales showed people truths about themselves and others that they were not ready to face, causing more conflict than harmony. Eventually, Zeus took the scales to heaven where they could judge without causing chaos, but their memory remains in those born under Libra. This is why Libra people can see all sides of every situation so clearly, why they struggle to make decisions when they can see how each choice affects everyone involved, and why they sometimes feel burdened by their ability to understand perspectives that others cannot see. They carry the weight of cosmic justice that sees everything, but cannot force others to choose wisdom over selfishness. Scorpio remembers Orion, the great hunter whose story is one of passion, betrayal, and tragic miscommunication that ended in unnecessary death. Orion was the most skilled hunter who ever lived, but his arrogance led him to boast that he could kill every creature on Earth. This threat angered Gaia, the Earth goddess, who sent a giant scorpion to stop him. The battle between Orion and the scorpion was epic and devastating, but ultimately both died from their wounds. However, their deaths were caused not by hatred, but by a cosmic misunderstanding. Orion had been speaking metaphorically about his hunting skills, but his words were taken literally by forces that feared for all life on Earth. Zeus, recognizing the tragedy, placed both Orion and the scorpion in the sky, but separated them so they would never fight again. This is why Scorpio people understand that words have power and that intensity can be both creative and destructive, why they are so careful about who they trust with their deepest feelings, and why they sometimes feel misunderstood when their passionate nature is mistaken for aggression. They carry the memory of a warrior whose strength was both gift and curse. Sagittarius holds the story of Chiron, the centaur who was the wisest teacher who ever lived, but who suffered from a wound that could never heal. Unlike other centaurs who were wild and violent, Chiron was gentle and wise, teaching heroes like Achilles and Hercules. But during a battle, Chiron was accidentally wounded by one of Hercules' poisoned arrows. Because Chiron was immortal, he could not die from the wound, but he also could not heal from it. He lived in constant pain, using his suffering to develop even greater wisdom and compassion that he shared with his students. Eventually, Chiron chose to give up his immortality to end his pain, and Zeus honored his sacrifice by placing him among the stars. This is why Sagittarius people are such natural teachers and philosophers, why they can find wisdom in their own suffering and help others learn from theirs, and why they sometimes feel restless and searching for meaning that seems just beyond their reach. They carry the spirit of a teacher whose greatest lessons came from his own wounds. Capricorn remembers Pan, the nature god who saved all the other gods from a terrible monster, but was forever changed by his sacrifice. When the monster Typhon attacked Mount Olympus, all the gods fled in terror and transformed into animals to hide. Pan tried to transform into a fish to escape through water, but his transformation was interrupted when he heard the other gods crying for help. He stopped his own escape to blow his horn and rally the gods to fight back. But because his transformation was incomplete, he was left permanently changed part goat and part fish, belonging fully to neither land nor water. His sacrifice saved everyone, but cost him his original identity. This is why Capricorn people are such natural leaders who will sacrifice their own comfort to help others succeed, why they sometimes feel like outsiders even when they are successful, and why they understand that true achievement requires giving up parts of yourself for the greater good. They carry the memory of a god who chose duty over personal safety. Aquarius holds the story of Ganymede, a beautiful young prince who was taken from his family to serve the gods, but who used his position to help humanity even when it meant risking divine punishment. Zeus fell in love with Ganymede's beauty and carried him to Mount Olympus to be the cupbearer of the gods. Ganymede was honored but heartbroken to be separated from his family and people. When he saw how much humans were suffering from drought and famine, he deliberately spilled the divine nectar that was meant for the gods, sending it to Earth as life-giving rain. The gods were angry at his disobedience, but Zeus was moved by Ganymede's compassion and placed him among the stars as the water-bearer, who would forever pour out blessings for humanity. This is why Aquarius people are such humanitarian spirits who will break rules to help others, why they sometimes feel like outsiders looking in on human society, and why they are willing to rebel against authority when they see injustice. They carry the memory of a soul who chose to serve humanity over serving power. Pisces carries the most beautiful and tragic story of all Aphrodite and Eros fleeing from a monster, while tied together so they would not be separated in the chaos. When Typhon attacked the gods, the goddess of love and her son transformed into fish to escape through water. But they were so afraid of losing each other in the dark depths that they tied themselves together with a cord before diving into the river. They escaped the monster, but their need to stay connected even in their most vulnerable moment became their eternal symbol. This is why Pisces people are so empathetic and connected to others' emotions, why they sometimes lose themselves in relationships but cannot bear to be alone, and why they understand that love requires both independence and connection. They carry the divine memory of perfect love that chooses to stay linked even when it would be safer to swim alone. These tragic origins explain why each sign carries specific emotional patterns, relationship challenges, and spiritual gifts. Your zodiac sign is not just a personality type. It is the